free mind. You crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Regie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show, a show that we do on Sunday night to get the week started off on the right foot. And as part of that, I give you a rundown of some of the content that is going to be coming out from my channel over the course of this week. And we also talk about some news and current events, things that are top of mind for me and might also be top of mind for you. And there is a ton of things that we are going to get to. I have a ton of housekeeping things that we are going to talk about, all of which I think are good things. So bear with me as I work my way through some of this stuff. Before we get to those things, I want to take a moment to acknowledge some members of the community that have shown up in the live stream. Shout out to all the Gibbon Gang members and the comic book soldiers that have shown up in here. Chris Bigger's up in here. Rush Die Hard. Steve White, how you doing? Mark is up in here. Phil-tastic is in the house. Tina, the OG Tina, how you doing? It is good to see you as always. My man Doug, it is good to see you, my friend. I will see you in a couple of days. Matt Woods is up in the house, one of the blue wrenches, always on deck to make some magic happen. Clay is up in here. How you doing? Richard's up in here. It is good to see all of you. I'm scrolling through. Anybody? Is there anybody in here right now? Anybody in the live stream that is here for the very first time? Is this your first actual live stream? Let us know that. And if you are visiting the channel from another country outside of North America, let us know that as well. There was some crazy things that popped up in the analytics for the show. I'm somehow big in Ghana. I don't know how or why, but I'm big in Ghana. So shout out to everyone that is in Ghana. I'm trying to find it right now. I'm trying to, there was like all of these places where surprisingly the content was popping, and I cannot find it now. I should have been more prepared. It is what it is, but shout out to everybody that is listening near and far. Let me scroll through the comments here. Jim, how you doing? It is good to see you. Chuck is up in here. How you doing? See how quickly the paradise is here. It is good to see you. Morpheus is up in the house. It is definitely good to see all of you guys. I'm scrolling through, making sure that I'm at least mostly caught up with folks. Dave, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. I will see you in a couple of days. Frog Brawler's up in the house. It's good to see you, my friend. Oh, what was that? I saw a lot of fire. Got my attention there with all the flames. All right. I'm going to have to change the wall out. I think it's time to change the wall out. It's been a couple of weeks now. So as I mentioned, there's a couple of housekeeping things that I want to get to. I forgot during the Wednesday show, the Wednesday Comics Today show, I forgot to declare the winner of the short box giveaway of the $100 credit. And so we are going to correct that right now. We're going to declare who the winner is. This person has to have access to the Shortbox app, which is limited, if you will, to North America and the UK. So fingers crossed this person is located in one of those places and can access the app. But Charlie Lawson is the winner of the Shortbox giveaway. It is a $100 credit that can be used on the app. Charlie, if you are watching this, make sure you send me an email to Regie@regiecollects.com with your full name, which might be right on the screen, and your address. That way we just have it for the records. I will send you a code in a couple of days after I receive your email, and you will get your $100 credit from our friends over at Shortbox. To the point, of the of my friends over at Shortbox, they are allowing me to crash the party. They have made space in their booth free of charge, because we are friends at New York Comic Con. Doug and I will be on site at New York Comic Con from October 6th through the 9th at the Javits Center. The Javits Center, I don't think that I've ever been there, but we will be in the house from 12 to 1 at the Shortbox booth. I would definitely encourage you, if you are planning to be at New York Comic Con, to swing by, say hello, hang out with us, take a photo, get a signature, all that kind of stuff. And one of the questions that a lot of people have been asking is, will we have copies of Isolation on hand? We will. We will have all of the covers on hand for sale and for signatures. Signatures are free. We don't charge for that. Everything is there, and I will have limited supplies of some things. So like the premium cover, for example, super limited. It will be on hand. There will be some other odds and ends, and there might also be a surprise. There may be some surprise announcements. I definitely want to encourage you to stay tuned, because if we're able to make some magic happen, it's going to be really cool. Some of the things that will happen at New York Comic Con. Shout out to Liger Style. How you doing, brother? Huge shout out to Steve Conge. I think Steve Conge is up in here. Steve, there you go. Steve was having some internet issues. I received a message from Lee Atkins. Lee sent me a message. He said, "Hey, have you heard from the Conge? Have you heard from the Conge?" This was probably a week and a half ago. He sent me this message, or maybe 2 weeks ago. My time gets away from me. I was like, no, I have not heard from him. So I went to go look up Steve Conge on the Instagram, and I could not find him. I was like, what is going on with the Conge? Conge then, like maybe a week later after this message, sent me a message. I think he sent me a text saying things were all jacked up. I guess I don't know what happened with his stuff, but Steve, it is good to see you back, my friend. Huge shout out to Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy as well. I know a lot of you, there's a little bit of ebb and flow, right, to the channel sometimes, because people have other responsibilities with family, with work, and other things. They have to go away and do those things, and then they eventually find their way back, and then they, stick around for a little while until something else comes up. It is life. I'll still be here when you get back. Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy. Hope all is well with you and the family, my man. All right, so scrolling through, definitely looking forward to seeing all of you guys if you are able to make it out to man, we keep some secrets, man. We keep some secrets, and sometimes it's even a secret to us. Sometimes things just accidentally work out, and you're like, yeah, let's just make it happen. Let's just go ahead and do it. I'm scrolling to Wellbore. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Seth, how you doing? It is good to see you. All right, so what else do we have? We have another thing. Another thing I want to talk about real quick. The owner of the company that offers the mounts that I've been using in the comic book room for, I don't know, 5 years, 4 years, something like that, reached out to me. He was having some issues with his e-commerce platform. He believes that all the issues have been ironed out. They had to redeploy their website, and he tells me that things should be working fine, but he wants to entice people. To maybe come over and help him test out the system. Hopefully nothing goes wrong, right? But test out the system to make sure that things are good. So he is offering a 30% discount on purchases. Over 200,000 customers globally. Sweet Christmas. He's doing incredible. He's blowing up. I wonder how many of those I drove. I really do want to know how many. Bill, how many did Reggie drive? So anyway, he's doing a 30% off. If you order from the website collectormount.com, you can get a 30% off. The code, I'll give you the code here in a second. And if you spend $35 or more, you get free shipping. $35 or more, free shipping, 30% off your order. The code is Mount Up 30. Mount Up 30 will get you 30, and if you spend 35, you get free shipping. Huge shout out to Collector Mounts. I've been dealing with these guys for several years now. I think I used the product long before we ever did anything together, and I love the product, which is what prompted me to reach out to them. I make zero. I make zero from what is going on with. Oh my goodness! It is when he sent me the code, I was like, mount up. I was like, oh, regulators, let's go, let's do it, right? When I saw it, and I don't know if Bill knows. I don't know if he ever listened to the Warren G. I don't know, but I found it hilarious. I really did find it hilarious. Steve says, I build my own mounts out of aluminum when I'm teaching my welding class. That's what's up. Nothing wrong with that, my man. Nothing wrong with using your own hands and making some magic happen. I don't have a class, okay? I don't have slave labor, Steve. I don't have slave labor that I can get to make mounts for me. I have to get my stuff from Bill. Okay, buddy? Teasing. All right. Rip Coolio indeed. Completely unrelated to Warren G. But Rip Coolio, somebody posted up, I think it might have been on one of my comic book channel friends, posted up that he was at a concert just like a week or so before Coolio passed, and showed some clips of Coolio on stage doing his thing, man. But Rip Coolio, you never know when your time is up, man. Rip Nate Dogg, that man had a wonderful voice. I cannot tell you how much Warren G and Nate Dogg and the Dove Shack and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre I listened to back in the day. No doubt about it. Sweet Christmas. I listen to so much stuff. All about there you go. You can't go wrong, man. Oh my goodness. Neil is my neighbor. Neil has never listened to Nate Dogg. Okay, let's be completely clear about that. He's never listened to the Nate D-O-double-G. No, he probably has. He probably has. Who knows about the Dove Shack though, man? I'm gonna tell you that man, even though I was in Detroit, Michigan, we were heavily influenced by the West Coast. We're heavily influenced, and just so much Dr. Dre pumping out of the cars back in the day. It is no doubt. There you, Tina is giving Neil away. There you go. You cannot go wrong with the G-Funk. You cannot go wrong with the G-Funk. All right, let me move on. Let me give you guys a rundown of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. I have decided to release a video. I've been on this thing. Where I've been releasing these must-have videos, right? These must-have videos that highlight books that you have to have if you are a huge fan of a certain creator or a certain character. And I know that no one's going to be surprised at this one. I am releasing one on Spider-Man. Like, no one is surprised by that. But what you will be surprised by is the books that I chose to put in this video. It is not necessarily the books that you automatically think of when you think of Spider-Man. And so I think that folks that watch this video will be pleasantly surprised. Fingers crossed that this video does as well as, if not better, than the video that we did on Wolverine, which was an incredibly popular video and also well-timed to coincide, even though I was a week early, about 5 days early of the Hugh Jackman announcement with Deadpool 3. But still, Spider-Man must-have books is going to be released this week. I may, depending upon how things go, I'm going to hopefully record the CGC top 10 video. I basically skipped last month. The list didn't look all that different from the previous month, so I kind of skipped last month, but I have not looked at this month's list for September, which looks at last month's books. I have not yet looked at the list, but I may record that video this week. Fingers crossed that the list actually looks a little bit different than the last few months, because there hasn't been a whole lot of difference between them. And then I'm also going to release a video on lessons learned, hindsight. Hindsight is 2020, but we are going to take some time and we're going to look back at maybe some mistakes that I've made, some things that I've discovered, some things that I've learned, etc., etc., etc. So those are the videos. And then we're also going to do comics today on Wednesday. So hopefully you guys will tune in for that. L Green Machine, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Regie, Comic Tom show one of your new shorts in his top 10 this week. You know, he sent me a text saying that a shout out video was coming out, and he sent me I saw a screen grab of it, but I have not yet watched the video. I assume that it was coming out this week, not, I guess, today or yesterday. Doug, when did it come out? But I will check it out. What's funny is that I've been doing a lot more of these shorts and these reels and things like that, and I think that has caught people's attention. And Tom called me up and he's like, "What are you doing? What's going on? Tell me more about this." And we had a great conversation. I was in the middle of some stuff, so it wasn't a very long conversation. But Tom is a good guy. He's a very, very smart guy, and I always enjoy my conversations with him. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him at New York Comic Con coming up. Scrolling through the comments here. So we always do it in the month, and it looks at the submissions in the month prior to. So for October, we have the October list, which looks at the books submitted in the month of September. So that's how it works. In the current month, it's always looking at the month before. So I took off September, which would have been looking at the month prior to that. So I know it gets really confusing up there in Canada for people. So hopefully that clarified things. I love Canadians. Canadians don't do that. It's just Mark. Don't do it. Don't do it. Scrolling through, there was no hurricane in North Carolina. We got rain. We got a lot of rain. Yeah, I posted it up on the Instagram. I did a lot of updates on Instagram the morning after I blew a lot of leaves, and thankfully we didn't get any damage here, not even down trees. There was, I do believe, a lot of a loss of life, and also a lot of property damage down in Florida. So my thoughts are definitely with all of those people. We are very thankful that nothing happened here. I had all the chainsaws gassed up, ready to rip. The generator was oiled and gassed up and was ready to go just in case, but thankfully nothing but some mild rain, not even heavy rain. It was like mild rain by and large. So Comics by the Bay, thank you very much for the kind words. I try, man. It is not easy, but I do try to continue making magic happen. A huge shout out to this guy right here, Chris Bigger. Chris Bigger is one of the guys that throughout the day, almost every day, sends me a lot of emails. He sends me a lot of emails. I never reply to any of them, but there's also no expectation that I do, and I'm thankful for that. But he sends me these emails with these clippings of news that are coming out around the internet. And so that's part of the way that I stay in the know, is because of guys like Chris Bigger that will send me 8 messages a day saying, "Hey, look at this, look at this, look at this." And I go through it and I pick and choose what's hot and what I think will grab people's attention, and we rip off a video. And so I am very thankful for Chris Bigger and the others that do that as well. They just send me the emails and I rip through them. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Scrolling through, there you go. I think it was the Blade one, and I think it dropped in the past day or two. Thank you, Doug. I definitely appreciate that. I will check it out. If hindsight is 2020, then why have I made so many mistakes in my past? Hindsight is 2020. And the goal is to learn from the things that you've done in the past so that you make different mistakes in the future. That's how that works. That is exactly how it works. Scrolling through. I do love Canada. Please. I love Canada, man. We don't want any trouble from the Canadians. We don't want any Canadians. How often do you go to cons or shows going to a con? I will tell you, I don't really go to cons all that often. I am antisocial, and I have to have a purpose. I have to have a purpose to do these things. And so, we go to promote isolation and some of the other things that we're working on. And we're thankful that we don't have to get a booth. We have friends that will lend us booth space and let us crash for a couple of hours here and there. And so it works out quite nicely, because cons are incredibly expensive, but they're cool to go to show up, to meet people, to give them access to some of the books that maybe they don't want to order via mail. They can just pick it right up from us. So we did San Diego Comic-Con, and then we're doing New York Comic-Con, and then we're doing Garage Con. Garage Con is taking place November 19th here at my house in North Carolina. So if you are local, stay tuned to the channel, social media, the Discord server, all of those things for details on how to sign up to come to Garage Con, because we are going to be releasing announcing a couple of things, hopefully at Garage Con, that people will find interesting. But I personally don't go to a lot of cons. I think there's people that are in this live stream right now in this chat that hit a lot of cons. So how tall are those skinny trees? They are about 6 stories. They are about 6 stories high. They are very, very tall trees. Very, very tall trees. And they will snap. We had a lot of dead standing trees, which is why we cut down a lot of them. But there are a lot of dead standing trees, and they are very, very thin. So we try to cut them all down. We try to cut them. That's why all the shorts are only about these. Chris Bigger does send me a whole lot of DC stuff. You better believe it. But DC is also in the news a whole lot. There is no doubt about that one. All right, so let me go ahead and clear that off the screen. All right, so I do want to get to a bigger topic here at hand, and it is a topic that I had at least 2 people send me messages on. And I debated whether this was something that I wanted to talk about or not, because seeing 2 grown men argue in public about comics is just not my jam, right? It's comic books, and to see people fight and argue and stuff like that over comics, I struggle with it. But as I dug in just a little bit, I felt like there was an angle for me to take that might offer something different to the conversation, right? Because one of the stories that is out there is that Rob Liefeld eviscerated. He eviscerated Mark Waid, and my takeaway is that Mark was right. My takeaway is that Mark was absolutely right in at least the portion of the comments that we are going to talk about on tonight's show. There may be some other things that he said that I don't necessarily agree with. There's some back and forth that he had with Rob Liefeld that I don't get on board with at all. But I will tell you, I think that Mark Waid had a point. He had a point. He was making a point, and I think that there is something legitimate in what he said. And so for those that don't know Mark Waid, he is a writer that's been around for a long time. He's the guy behind Kingdom Come. He spent some time working on Flash, off and on Daredevil, off and on Avengers, off and on the Justice League of America, off and on. And again, I think he's most known for Kingdom Come, something that took me 2 sittings to get through. Well, first I read it. I started to read it. I was like, man, I'm on the struggle bus with this. And so several months went by, and then I circled back to it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think I understand this now. And so I was able to get on board. But Mark Waid and Rob Liefeld had a little bit of back and forth in the public domain. And it just never looks good. I don't know how old these gentlemen are, but it's just not a good look. It's not a good look for that. Let me take that off the screen. I don't know what that is. All right, so let me scroll down. So this is just the headline. Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld eviscerates Mark Waid over aging out of comics in a Facebook rant. And so I want to read, let me take it, man, these ads everywhere. Let me scroll down on this thing because I want to actually read some of Mark Waid's comments. And this was something that he posted up a while ago. I mean, this is almost 1 month old. That's why, again, I was kind of struggling with it. Grown men fighting in public, and it's pretty old. But Mark Waid was giving some advice to beginning and aspiring creators. And he says, I offer you some observations on the life cycle of a comics creator, a mixture of advice and cautionary tales. Take from it what you will. He's like, hey, I'm going to give you some stuff that I've seen. Do what you will with it, right? That's part of it. Do what you want to do. He said, bring a sandwich. I would prefer coffee. I don't know about sandwiches, but he says, as in any industry, creative or otherwise, there is ageism in the comic book industry. No matter your skill, no one gets to stay the new hot fan favorite eternally. And there's the natural assumption among editors and fans, right or wrong, that no one can keep consistently hitting homers forever. There is nothing but facts in there. Like you can't be fantastic all the time, every time. Sooner or later, you're probably going to slip up and have a stinker or two, right? You're gonna hit an air ball or a foul ball or whatever you want to call it. You're going to get into a slump. I'm trying to stick with the homer or home run baseball analogies. I'm struggling. I don't do sports, but he has a point. And he says the creators who are most punished by this, to me, seems to be the ones whose style, however lauded or commercial in the past, has become so locked and predictable that it doesn't seem as fresh and attractive to readers and editors as it once did. Here, he is basically saying here, look, you might be the hot stuff. You might be the hot stuff, but sooner or later, your stuff will cool off and your stuff won't be as fresh or as appealing to people as it once was when it was fresh. And people get accustomed to seeing a certain style or hearing a certain story be told a certain way. It gets old. I remember when I used to call on doctors, that when you walk in, the doctor would always say, what do you have new? You know why? Because they always want to know the new thing. Don't tell me the old stuff that you told me last week or the week before. Tell me the new stuff. What else do you have? So you learn to change the wrapper. You change the wrapper, keep the core the same, change the wrapper so that it appears to be new, because with adults, you sometimes have to tell them at least 7 times for it to sink in. So you change the wrapper, you give them the same core, but it appears to be some new stuff, right? But Mark is not necessarily saying anything crazy. He's like, you're not going to stay at the top of your game, and after a while your stuff gets stale. But if you potentially let me hold on. If you potentially are a creator that does not change your style, then maybe you would take offense to this. You're like, hey, I'm always the hotness no matter what I do, because it's my stuff. If I do it, it's hot. Therefore, everybody should like it and love it, no matter how stale it might be. If that's you, then you might take offense to Mark Waid's comments. He says, absolutely bad luck or bad breaks can sometimes take players off the field while they're still vital. No one deserves to be blamed for circumstances wholly out of their control, and there are always outlying cases. But as a rule, the creators who keep working are the ones who are honest about their shortcomings and the way that they can improve, who take responsibility for their faith and their path. They accept that they might need to modify, add to, or level up what they have to say and how they say it in order to stay relevant, while at the same time never becoming simply imitative. They refuse to calcify and refuse to become a nostalgic act. So again, if you are a creator who does not change, you might take offense to that. If you don't level up, if you don't evolve, if you don't try to grow, if you don't try to get better and stay fresh, you will get stale. And if you read that and you were that type of person, then I could see getting offended by what it is that Mark is saying. But Mark is sharing some wisdom here. He is sharing some wisdom here. And I really do think that there is some validity to what he is saying. He says they don't buy. Hold on. He says they never stop striving to learn and to be and to better their skills. They don't buy into their own status or think they're somehow that it somehow absolves them from meeting deadlines, being fun to work with, or being professional. Most of all, I think they continue to investigate, absorb, appreciate, and find genuine joy in whatever are the best comics and graphic novels of the day, discovering new storylines, tricks, and clever additions to the language of the medium that they can incorporate into their own work to elevate it. Like, it's all legit stuff. And he has not named a single person's name in any of this. He is basically saying, hey, I have some observations. I have some learnings here. I want to pass it on to people that are thinking about trying to come into comics. Regardless of what kind of creator you are going to have a style. That style will give you access to the comic book community, right? To give you access to the community. I'm sorry, to the industry. But once you're in, you still have to grow and evolve and get better and try to innovate. I mean, look at Alex Ross. Alex Ross just recently came out with a book, The Fantastic Four Full Circle, in which he reimagined his own style. Now, his style is incredible and everybody loves it, but he probably recognized that he's been doing the same thing for 15 plus years. He's like, maybe it's time to try something a little different, a slightly different approach. Now, with that said, I think Alex Ross has had several different evolutions of his creative work over time, but he's tried to innovate. He's tried to evolve. He's tried to grow. That's just one example that readily comes to mind as a person that I think work is constantly striving to get better. And again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with what Mark Waid actually says. So this idea that Rob Liefeld eviscerated him, I sort of struggle with, and I'll show you the evisceration here in a second. There you go. A couple of Alex Ross comments there. Great advice, says Trev. I don't know if you're talking about Mark or Rob. I would just put that comment there and I would just let that know. We all know who he's talking about. I mean, he probably is throwing a little shade, you know what I'm saying? But he's also probably, I mean, you could potentially say that for a lot of different creators. You could probably say it for a lot of creators that do homages to themselves repeatedly, that don't seem to change their style or grow. They just kind of do the same thing over. It's the same female form. It's the same male form. It's the same gun, just in a slightly different position. I mean, there's a lot of creators out there that have not been able to evolve or change, or just don't see a reason to change just because they've had so much success. Matt Woods is like, he is speaking the truth. Mic drop. Case closed. Yeah, I mean, it is just, again, I think that there is some really smart advice that he is giving in this, where he is basically saying, look, if you are thinking about coming into this industry or whatever industry, you have to continue to grow and you have to continue to innovate. You can't just do it and just think that it's all done, you know? So yeah, you have to grow as a person and as a creator. There you go, man. I mean, it's tough. And let's be completely honest. If you find some success, it is super easy to keep doing that same thing over and over and over again, right? It is much, much harder to come up with original ideas and do innovative stuff. That takes so much energy. And the challenge with that is that as you're experimenting, trying to find that new next best thing, you have some stinkers in there. You have some stinkers, man. Like, and I am nowhere near Rob Liefeld or Mark Waid or any of these other guys, right? But I put out a lot of content, and I have some good ones and I have some stinkers. I have some stinkers that do not perform at all. And the video still requires a lot of time. I still had to think about it. I still had to not script it, but write notes. I still had to record it. I still had to film it. I still had to edit it. I still had to promote it. And then it comes out and no one watches it. It's a stinker. And it requires just as much time, if not more time, than another video where you're like, how the heck did that pop, right? It is what it is. It is the nature of the beast. It is the nature of the beast. Scrolling through, you guys, Rob Liefeld basically personally attack Waid. Yeah. So let's get to that. So for those folks that are coming in a little late, I am going on the record saying that that Mark Waid was right. Mark Waid was right about the possibility of people aging out of comics, that being creators that can age out, and they age out because they fail to innovate. They fail to grow. They fail to evolve. Yes, they age out. But let's scroll down. Let's look at what I only saw part of the response. So Dave, you're gonna have to forgive me. You may know a little bit more about this, but this was the response. Interesting, given the bitter source that wrote this notorious whiner. I mean, seriously, that was Rob Liefeld's response. And then Mark Waid came back. And again, not his finest. Not his finest hour. And this article really didn't help, because the article basically alleges that Mark Waid was writing about Rob Liefeld. And so, it is what it is. Not a good look for either one of them. But again, I think that the comments that were being made up here are legitimate comments. They're legitimate comments that I think a lot of people can probably learn from and have some good takeaways. And that's where I really wanted to focus the time, energy was around this right here. So let me go back to the chat real quick. Man, Rob is like a 13-year-old little boy. Yeah. Not the most. Yeah, agreed. I don't know if there was more to it, Dave. I don't know if there was more to it. I don't have, all the time in the world to go digging into two grown men fighting over comic books. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Tina. Tina, here's the thing. If I have a really bad video, I know Tina watched it, and I'm thankful. I released a video. I can't remember when it was. That video had 300 views. I was like, what happened to this? You know, and not every video is a great video. I mean, that's the reality of it. You try, but not it. It is difficult to come up with 3 pre-recorded videos every single week and do 2 live streams and have all of them be great. It is really difficult. That's why we have a couple of stinkers every month. Fight. Oh my goodness. He might as well just Steve, he might as well just pull up. That just put that in the pull up and be done with it, you know? Let me see. I'm scrolling through some of the comments here. Rob was like, oh yeah. Wait a minute, he went off on Whatnot. Yeah, man. You gotta love it, man. Sometimes, man, when sometimes if you are not feeling it, you just got to walk away. You got to just walk away from the social media instead of commenting. You know what I'm saying? There you go. Ideas are hard, man. Innovative ideas are hard. What's funny is I sent Kingpin and some ideas. I wrote out a bunch of ideas and I said, hey, Kingpin, go be creative with these. And I was like, look, some of these might be stinkers, okay? If there's stinkers in there, don't worry about the stinkers. Focus on the good ones that you can work with. But I sent them a couple of things. And anytime you do something, you're going to have some good stuff and you're going to have some not so good stuff. It's part of the creative process, man. I wish that I could just create nothing but dopeness, but that is not the case. What is it? No doubt. It's hard, man. I spoke to somebody recently about they wanted to sponsor some content. And they were like, you know, we have to applaud you for putting out so much content. They were like, we'd struggle putting out that much content, but we find a way. I mean, it ebbs and flows, man. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes you find a creative vein and you try to stay in that vein as long as you can, and because other time, and you record as much as you can when you're being creative, because in those times where you're not, you just have to depend upon that catalog of stuff that you recorded recently. You know what I'm saying? What is that? Rob should just reboot an old book like Prophet. I started to talk about the movie Prophet, but I decided not to. I decided to hold off on that one. But well done. Man, it's hard. It's hard out here for a pimp. It is hard. It is hard doing this content stuff, man. It really. I tell people all the time, man, what is that? Regie needs to go back to the kitchen video. I have to get hungry again. It was an island, not a kitchen table, sir. It was an island, okay, in California. So we can't go back there. But I feel you. All right. So we beat that horse enough. I will say it again. Mark Waid was right that there is an aging out of comics if a creator fails to be innovative, fails to grow, fails to challenge themselves, right? It will happen. So what's really interesting is that this next thing that I want to talk about is maybe an example of somebody that content ain't easy. That, hey, preach. This one is a little interesting. Keanu Reeves. They are making some magic happen with this movie script. I think you guys know, I think they're coming out with an anime and also with a movie that is based upon the Berserker comic that I think Keanu kind of sort of wrote with somebody else. What's interesting is that I feel like Keanu has had a little bit of a resurgence himself, right? I feel like now we are starting to see him more places than we were seeing before. I think I saw him on TikTok doing some stuff on TikTok. It might have been on Instagram as well, right? He's going to be in the new Constantine movie. And it's like, again, actors, I think, do a decent job of this. And some recording artists do a decent job of this, of going away, coming back, and when they come back, they appear to be fresh and invigorated all over again. And I feel like that's where things kind of sort of are for Keanu Reeves. And they're saying here that the writer that is working on the Berserker script says that the script is now complete. An update on Keanu Reeves' Berserker comic book movie adaptation reveals that the film script is complete. Published by Boom Studios, to the tune of $2 million. I think it was $2.1 million that they raised on Kickstarter. The comic book of the same name kicked off its 12-issue limited run on March the 3rd of 2021, with the current issue of Berserker 10 just released on September 21st. Goes through talking about this, the character that's been on Earth for 80,000 years. Originally conceived by Keanu, the character of Berserker shares similarities to a few of the actor's past roles, most notably the assassin John Wick, as well as being modeled after Reeves in appearance. Yes, he does look a lot like him from the cover all the way through the book. After seeing a resurgence in popularity with the 2014 John Wick, which has spawned a franchise, Reeves moves into a new creative medium, allowing fans to see a different side of the star. So again, he had a resurgence in 2014. He moved over into comics. He seems to be coming back, large and in charge right now. So it says on March the 22nd, I think it was of 2021, Netflix announced that a live action film and anime adaptation were being created. And again, they said that this thing has actually been written. No details on when we're actually going to see this thing be released or be filmed or any of that other kind of stuff. But I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a pretty cool thing to talk about, because I did just watch the Constantine movie. I think I saw it several years ago, but I rewatched it recently and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this article up on screenrant.com if you guys want to read a little bit more about Keanu Reeves. Keanu can't do wrong, says Ghost Riders. What is that? True. He has this image of being very humble and down to earth. New John Wick film dropping soon too. I didn't know that. Oh, I think I did know that. That's one of the things that and my camera, sorry about that. It froze up there for a second. I think that was one of the interesting things that the article that I was reading touched on was Keanu Reeves's personality and how he is easy to work with. I think that that's one of the things that bodes really well for him just in general. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. It says with Keanu Reeves' impressive reputation in the industry and the writer's talents attached, Netflix could be on its way to breaking into major franchise territory, something that they're working to develop with The Witcher, right? With Reeves fans waiting for more news about Berserker, they can look forward to seeing him return. There you go. Return as John Wick for the 4th installment in the assassin-led series in March of 2023. So, right, he's coming back with John Wick. He now has Constantine, and he's also going to have Berserker. So we're probably going to be watching him in 2023, 24, possibly 2025. He's got 3 years lined up. There you go. Liger Style is on it. He says John Wick trailer is on YouTube. Check it out. There you go. Last Matrix movie didn't help him. Again, you sometimes have a stinker. Sometimes you have a stinker in there. You know what I'm saying? There you go. You guys are on it. Keanu has a reputation for being a genuinely good person, says a lot. What is that? Tom Cruise is the hardest to work with, says Rush. There you go. Neil's on it. Neil says John Wick Chapter 4 hits theaters May 23rd, 2023. Almost all can... He's not Canadian. He's American now. We adopted him. We brought him in. Let me see. I'm scrolling through. Keanu will rule the world by 2025. There you go. He's got enough movies coming out, man. I'm telling you. Anytime Keanu is caught doing something, it's always something nice for fans because he knows what side his bread is buttered on. It's on the fan side, man. That's why you show up and you be nice to people because you never know. You never know who knows you. That's one thing my wife constantly reminds me of. She's like, you never know who knows you. So make sure you're on your best behavior when I'm in public. That's what she tells me. And my wife looks out for me. So, all right, let me move on. The very last thing, the very last thing I want to talk about. I don't know. Maybe it's a bookend. I don't know. You guys will judge. But I covered this in a short. I covered this in a short recently and also on a reel, talking a little bit about the fact that Netflix decided not to move forward with the Grendel show. I think they had commissioned 8 episodes to be filmed. All 8 were filmed, and they were in the process of doing the production on it when Netflix pulled the plug. Then the actor decided that he was going to take to the social media and talk a little bit of smack. Grendel actor slams Netflix over scrapping the entire filmed series. This guy Ali, who was set to star in the upcoming television series Grendel, has slammed Netflix over scrapping the already filmed series before it could be aired. Grendel was set to be a Netflix television series based upon the same comic book series of the same name. The Grendel comics began in 1982, were originally published by Comico before eventually being published by Dark Horse after the bankruptcy in 1990. Follows a story of Hunter Rose, an author by day and masked assassin and crime lord at night. A lot of people went out and spent some decent money on high-grade copies of the first appearance of the Grendel. And a lot of people were not happy when I released that notice talking about the fact that the series had been canceled. The good news is that the publishers are free. The producers are free to actually shop the series around. They filmed all 8. They haven't done all the post-production work, but they have been filmed. And so Netflix is giving them the ability to shop it around. Maybe there's someone else out there that has an appetite for it. Probably won't be HBO Max or anything Warner Brothers related. So that leaves you with only a handful of places to actually go, but fingers crossed that they can find a home for this. It says in September 21, it was announced that the Grendel comic book series would be adapted into an 8-episode 8-episode television series for Netflix. It was shortly announced thereafter that the actor Ali would be set to star as Hunter Rose in the series, making him the first Arab Muslim man to play the leading role in a comic book adaptation. Began filming in August of last year. The series wrapped up in early 2022. The past September brought the word that despite the 8-episode series having been fully filmed, Netflix has decided not to move forward. Netflix, I guess, was unable to move forward with it because they lost, 2 million subscribers. I want to say at least 700,000 to 800,000 of them were tied to the Russian-Ukrainian war. And then others, I guess, as the economy has worsened, people have decided to cut out Netflix. They had their first loss of subscribers, I want to say, in about 10 years. And if you lose millions of subscribers, you lose billions of revenue. And so they needed to tighten their belts. I from a business perspective, I get it. And Netflix puts out some amazing shows. In my opinion, some of the best shows that are out there. They put out some good stuff, but they cut it. And the actor decided to make some comments here, basically saying that he's very disappointed, that he is not going to be given an opportunity to represent this character on the screen. I get the frustration. I don't know that served him all that well. Ali writes that he's excited to represent the Arab community and has been very important for him to be able to play a morally gray character like Hunter Rose. He also shares how grateful how grateful he is to the cast and crew of the series. And again, fingers crossed that they're going to be able to find a home for this show someplace. Fingers crossed that magic actually gets made. But again, I'm not sure if it was the best look to go out there and attack Netflix, but it is what it is. He is very much entitled to his own perspective, his own point of view. We'll see what happens with the rest of this stuff. There you go. I hope someone picks it up again. This is also one of those things where anytime something is optioned to be picked up, there is some risk. None of these buy the comic now, flip it for some money later on. None of these things are sure things because of stuff like this. And it seems to be happening more and more, especially as the economy isn't where it was in 2021. Or even 2020 for that matter. Its economy is a little bit different. And so people are tightening their belts in a lot of different ways. JLS Comics, Grendel is great. I hope it lands somewhere. Scrolling through, I do not have Primer 2. I have Primer 5. I think Primer 5 is the first Max not related to the other Max, but I found 5 copies of Primer 5, or maybe it was 6, I can't remember, of Primer 5, but no Primer 2. I managed to find 4 or so copies of Primer 1, but no Primer 2. It hurts my heart. Rush that I was not able to find it in Primer 2 in the collection. But maybe, you know, I keep searching the Comico boxes, hoping that it will materialize one day. There you go, Max the Hair. There you go. No relation to Max with the 2 X's that was published by Image back in the day. I almost have a healthy percentage of that Max run. I've been digging them out and sorting them in the collection, and we're getting close. I don't know. I've been through the Comico boxes so many times. But there's always a box that I haven't been through in a while. And you never know. You never know, Doug. Maybe it's faced the wrong way. Maybe I'll do a video and it's faced the other way and somebody will spot it and be like, hey, there's your Primer 2 right there faced in the wrong direction. I don't know. We'll see. Sam Keith, thank you. I am so thankful for you guys. Sometimes I make these connections and I can't connect all the dots. I'll make a connection, but can't go all the way there. So Sam Keith's Max, not Max the Hair, but the regular MAXX character published by Image Comics. There you go. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate it. You never know. The 100K collection continues to produce. I will tell you that we found some pretty good books this weekend. We went hunting. We found a couple of really cool books in the collection. And people will say, well, Reggie, haven't you been through the collection? Yes, I have. I have been through the collection, but you also have to remember that books are constantly getting hot. Books are constantly getting hot because of everything that is happening in our still dynamic market. Books that I found before that did not pull out, because if I pull out every book, every key book, I will have boxes of just random books because I've pulled them out of their organized bin to put them in a random bin, right? So sometimes you find a book, you just leave it in place, right? And then you forget about it as the years go by, and then you remember it later on and you find it, you're like, oh, I found a new book. So there's like a combination of things that always happen. But again, when books get hot, I'm on Key Collector app or something comes up and I'm like, well, let's go look for that. So I walk downstairs and I hunt for it in the collection, and fingers crossed that I'm able to locate it, you know? So I absolutely love the collection. Absolutely love the collection because fingers crossed that it continues to produce. Fingers crossed. What is that? Reggie, what single issues do you have the most copies of in the 100K? That's impossible for me to answer, bro. I mean, I had, there are some, I had 45 copies of Dark Hawk 1. I had 40 some odd copies of Thundercats 1. Those are some of the biggest ones that I probably have 80 copies of Spider-Man 1 across the various covers. I mean, it depends. It depends upon the book. I would wish there was like 50 copies of Daredevil 1 from back in the day, like the one hanging on the wall, but there was only one of that from the 100K collection. As I look back there, I think what was back there, I think the only book that came out of the 100K collection was the Daredevil book that's back there. And no, maybe the New Mutants books. I think we have multiple copies of 87 and 98 in the collection, maybe 10, 8, something like that out of each. And then one Daredevil. So 3 books that are back there. Oh no, the Black Panther book. Where's that book? Yeah, we have multiple copies of the Black Panther book. We pulled a lot of those out of the collection as well. So there you go. There you go. All right. I have a bunch of everything, man. I mean, again, you'll have to stay tuned for the video, sir. You'll have to stay tuned for the video. All right, let me go ahead and wrap this thing. What is it, Reggie? You got to put the 100 collection in a database? No, absolutely not. Here's the thing. Here's the thing for our brawler and everyone else that makes this recommendation. This is not an attack. There are not enough hours or days in the week for me to catalog the entire collection and still eat, work, spend time with my family, create videos for you guys. Like that requires staff. That requires people to do that, to catalog it, to organize it. And I don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of time, and I don't have that I don't have that desire. I don't have that. Yes, I do. I do have a lot of copies of that. I just don't have the desire. I don't have the desire. There you go. So family, so overrated. So overrated. All right. Reggie needs I need a couple of interns. Let me tell you that. I do have a lot of classics illustrated. There's a lot of those. I have a lot of Marvel Universe. I found a whole bin of Marvel Universe. I mean, I found it before, don't get me wrong, but I rediscovered it this weekend as I was going through looking for some stuff. But what is that? Garage Con? We each catalog along. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You guys shall never access the 100K collection. No. I trust you all, but that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. All right, let me go ahead and wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. As I mentioned, there's a lot of good content that's going to be coming out from the channel this week. We're going to be doing the Comics Today show on Wednesday. I have no clue what we're going to talk about, but fingers crossed that my muse hits me between now and Tuesday. We'll come up with some good stuff. So we'll be doing Comics Today on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to release 3 pre-recorded videos. Spider-Man must-haves, Spider-Man must-have comics, lessons learned, and potentially the CGC top 10 countdown. Those will be the 3 pre-recorded videos that drop, and we are also going to release the podcast on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a lot of really good content coming out. And as a reminder, we're going to be at New York Comic-Con the 6th through the 9th from 12 to 1 at the Short Boxed booth. Don't ask me the booth number, but I don't have I think you'll be fine to find me. We'll be at the Short Box booth. I'll be there with Doug. We have some special announcements that are going to be coming out. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for some of that stuff. And then we're also going to be doing Garage Con on November 19th here in North Carolina. So some good stuff on the horizon. All right. With that said, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. As I mentioned, if you need to reach out to me, you can do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found this passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.